going. Looks like it is.
Hey, how you guys doing? So like I said, I graduated in 2016 with the Instrumentation and the electrical degrees. First job I had out of school was a fertilizer plant in Iowa. I was there for about a year and a half.
Hey, just since you're behind that screen.
Okay. Oh, that's, yeah. So, started there a year and a half, went out to Wyoming, worked in a coal power plant for about 3 or 4 months, and then jumped into being a contractor. So, a lot of guys leave out of here, I guess, and go pretty much in-house or do kind of long-term contractor jobs. I'm just here, I guess, to show you some of the other stuff you can do. Like, I do very short-term contractor jobs usually. I've had them last like 2 weeks. I've had them last 20 months. But pretty good. It pays really well for the most part. You work a lot of hours. Only like 7 12s and 13 and 1. Get a day off every 2 weeks, stuff like that. I've got to see some pretty cool places in the past 2 years. I was in St. Croix for about 20 months. Currently, I'm doing testing on an offshore platform over in Israel. A big gas platform out in the Mediterranean. This is probably the best decision I ever made. I graduated, I was like 25, I'm 30 now. I was an electrician before that. I did worked at a lot of the colleges and stuff, did a couple of bigger plants. But, was going to school for electrical and talking to people like, you would try instrumentation too. And I was talking to guys that was graduating, getting good job offers and stuff, and didn't have any experience and still making more than I was. So decided to look into it, and it's probably the best decision I ever made in my life. I really enjoy instrumentation. Everything you learn in here, you normally use outside. And depending on where you go, you might specialize more. Like I haven't had to deal with PLCs a whole lot in my choice of career, but I've got buddies that do it every day. And if you go out like West Texas or something, everything out there is a PLC. It's all Allen Bradley. But I have friends that get a lot of work with PLCs. Most of what I do is instrumentation, calibrations, and some DCS work. I get to do a lot more with control systems sometimes. Great choice. I guess what year are you guys in right now? Just finishing up the second
year.
Have you started one of the interviews and stuff yet? Some of it? No. That's still pretty early. I guess you guys graduate in May or June. But I'm sure pretty soon there's going to be a lot of job openings and a lot of guys are getting older. It's just going to, it's a good industry. Even if they bring down oil and gas, they still going to, when it goes to the green energy, you're still going to have instrument techs. You still can't get rid of all the oil and gas, all the plastics, asphalt. So I don't think you're going to have any problem finding a job. Instrumentation is probably going to be there forever. No doubt about that. And then you can pretty much, it lets you branch off to quite a bit of other things too. Any questions? Yes?
Just talking about networking a little bit.
Yeah.
How important is that?
Very, very important. So, like, pretty much the contractor side is all networking. It's not really, as long as you can back up what you can do, it's more about who you know. The only reason I'm over in Israel right now, I work with a guy in St. Croix, and somebody called him for a job. He was already working. He passed my name along. So, lucked out. Now I'm halfway across the world. Pay is pretty decent. They do like a day rate. So, it's a 28 and 28 schedule. You're there 28 days and then you're off for 28 days. You get paid, I think I'm at like $9.75 a day. 30 grand a month. About 27. Ain't too bad. They give you, and then they cover pretty much your flight and everything. So they put you on a chartered flight I hadn't lucked out and got first class yet, but at least I get to fly business. It's like a 13-hour flight. When I was down in St. Croix, it was like 65 an hour and like 95 a day per diem. So they were paying, and I wasn't even on the high end of the scale. There was some guys making a lot more money than I was. And we worked, a lot of hours, but when you got off, it was still, beaches and stuff were pretty cool. And like I've got to go around and see a lot of things, fertilizer plants, coal-fired power plants, see some guys working with the boiler and stuff back there. I mean, done a lot of boiler packages, boilers, huge 13-story boilers. St. Croix was a big refinery that restarted. It had been shut down for like eight or 9 years, and they were bringing it up. That was pretty cool. I think there was about 7 or 8 different units, and I worked in most of them. I did a lot of the safety testing. So interlocks, motor controls that you guys learned here, everything. It was an old plant. It was built like in the 70s. They didn't upgrade a whole lot. They just put everything back in service, and most of it was hardwired. So these pneumatic transmitters and stuff you got to mess with a little bit. It's one of the places I've seen them. You think you get out, everything's moving on, but there's a lot of places that still haven't quite upgraded. So everything you learn here, eventually you'll probably use. That was kind of cool. We had a lot of switches, some pneumatic transmitters, loops, and valves. Now, the gas platform on everything's, state of the art. So you got feedback on all their valves. It's a big PLC system, probably like 10,000 I/O. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of advancement. They moved on. They used pretty much all guided wave radars for their levels. Transmitter-wise, there's mostly all rose mount transmitters. There's some like mag meters and Coriolis meters, since they're doing custody transport of the gas off the platform and stuff. You being accurate there, you're losing money, so they spend a little bit of money there. But yeah, definitely, you graduate here. Out of the path I took, I went in-house to learn, get your kind of foot in the door, connect everything you learned here. Kind of stuff is a little fuzzy sometimes, but when you get outside, everything just starts going together. You already have all the basics. If somebody tells you to go troubleshoot something, you go out and you're like, I've already done this before. Do it, 3 or 4 times a day. So that was the best part. Everything made a whole lot of sense as soon as I got to the field. I hadn't done that work at all. Guys had been doing 5 to 6 years, and it wasn't easy then, or it wasn't too hard to be just up at their level, because you had all the basics already done.
I was going to ask you about with all the multiple jobs that you've done. How is the training when you start onto those jobs?
So that's the best thing about if you go in-house first. Depending on where you go, they're probably going to spend some money in investing in you. That's the best part about being loyal. You'll probably get a lot more training. Sometimes it's like sped up. You might get to do. Like for me, I was on a startup. The plant was brand new. They just finished construction, so when you go on startup, everything that's going to go wrong probably will. So you have to go through and just troubleshoot all day long, because they never had time to work the kinks out. When I went to Wyoming, and that plant had been running since like the 60s. There wasn't a whole lot of kinks left in it. It just ran. But a lot of places will send you for training. I think I went to mass spec training, which was like an analyzer thing. We had vendors come in for. We had a lot of free space radar, double transmitters, and guided wave radar. They come in for that. Had people come in for like tubing, or had Fisher come in for like some valve training. So a lot of places will train you. The other one though, when you become a contractor, they expect you to already know it, or they've got people that do know it. They've brought in as contractors also. So like when we was in St. Croix, I've had to rebuild valves and stuff like that, but they had a team. That's what they did. They rebuilt valves, where they had people that set up. They had a lot of displacers. So when they got a displacer in, they would set them up, and then you would just pretty much fill in the water in the field and do your 2-point calibration and put it in service.
Yeah, I know a lot of students that are going through this program get overwhelmed by the amount of information that they need to know.
Mhm.
But I think that it's important that they know that as long as they understand and remember the basics,
Yeah,
depending on where you go, you have to get trained for like special,
yeah, yeah. And
specific things, you know?
yeah, so the big thing is knowing pressure, how your pressure transmitters work, how you're using your calibration equipment, how to run a heart communicator. If you go to a plant where you have to do a lot of PLCs, pretty much how to log in, how to hook up to it. They're not going to expect you to program it. It's already been programmed. They're going to expect you to find out what I/O point isn't working, what's holding up the program. So then you find a switch that's went bad or a transmitter that may come that power down. So it's you learn all the basics and you learn kind of in depth, but when you get out in the field, it's still going to be just good basics. You just gotta. My big issue when I first started out was going for like the hardest stuff first. And it's normally something simple, loose wire, a piece of tube that's been disconnected. Like it's usually not going to be something. If this transmitter has been running for like 3 or 4 months, it's either going to be completely dead or something else has happened. The wires got loose. Somebody's messed with something. A lot of settings don't really change, but it's good to know how to go in and set all those up. As long as you got the basics, you'll be all right. And if you don't like PLCs, like I said, some places you don't have to mess with them. If you really like PLCs, there's some places you'll get to mess with them every day. There's a lot of job opportunities. You pretty much can do anything you want to do. If you don't like it, start putting out applications and find someplace you might like better. I would say, there's jobs here. If you do want to go out and make more money, it wouldn't hurt to be open to moving. Down south, they've got all kinds of refineries. Out west, there's more power plants and some big like chemical plants. I've met a lot of guys that graduated from colleges in the south, and talking with them, I think this program's better, honestly. I have guys that had got a 2-year degree and barely knew how to work a communicator out of college. So here you get to do a lot of stuff that some people probably don't get to do. They concentrate more on like older technology because that's what the plants use. The older plants, they just want somebody to go out and mess with. So here you get pretty much the wide spectrum and you can always learn more.
Make sure I understand it. So you're a local guy from Fort Chisholm?
I graduated from Grayson.
Grayson, okay. And you make it $9.75 a day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think last year, the home life balance is a little off. That's why I'm trying to get more to having more time off. Last year I was home probably 2 months out of the whole year. We had 2 days or had a day off every 2 weeks, but I think like before taxes and everything, it was like about $285 per year. So that was like my best year so far. But
285,000.
285,000. Yeah. You can make some killer money out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of guys that even if they stay local or go to power plants or something like Northern Virginia or around there, I think if you get a year with an outage or something, you probably make over 100 pretty easy. I know the guys that work up there that paper mill in West Point, I think he even brings home 100 overtime. I mean, you gotta be willing to work overtime. It's usually not, you're not going to kill yourself. I carry around a 6-inch crescent wrench and a tiny screwdriver. That's all I got there today. A couple of meters. A lot better than mechanics carrying around a full toolbox and taking apart 20-inch pipes and stuff.
So when you go retire?
I don't know. If I could get enough contacts and just do a couple of outages a year, I'd try that.
Yeah. At $280,000 a year, you get to retire pretty quick.
Yeah. That ain't normal, but
yeah.
You get lucky every once in a while. You definitely make some money.
And now you're a month on, month off, basically.
Yeah, and I'm. They just started. They're actually sending a platform from Korea down to Corpus Christi, and a lot of guys that are on the Leviathan platform are leaving to go to that project. So I guess they've been there for almost 2 years. They're getting tired of it. They don't like the flying all the way to Israel and getting COVID tested like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning they got trapped over there. So normally you have a 4-week hitch, and they were getting stuck there like 6 and 8 weeks to get home. So I think in-house they're paying like $740 a day for techs, for instrument techs. But that also is like insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm 1099, so I don't get any kind of benefits. That's kind of the other caveat of like contractor stuff. Some places that do decent on insurance, they let you put into a 401k. They usually don't match. But in-house is more than a lot better benefits. I think when I was
Well, 740 a day is not bad.
nah, you do all right there. You get a month off.
Yeah.
You're going. And none of them guys kill themselves, so that's the big part. Definitely glad I come here. Definitely glad I graduated. Mommy's a great teacher. Like I said, if you put your time in here, I know it's a little harder with COVID and everything going on, but once you get out in the field, it all clicks. And just roll right along.
I have another question.
Okay.
I know you graduated a while from here, but what's something that you've seen in the field that you hadn't seen in the program before?
You guys do Bentley, Nevada stuff, so I went to some places that had a lot of turbines and bigger rotating machinery, and some places they give the technicians, I guess, control over the Bentley Nevada system. So it's a machine monitoring. What it does is it measures vibrations in big, expensive machines. Little probes, pretty easy to set up. The instrument guys will pretty much install them. We would take and thrust the machine, so wherever, when it's active, normally they're thrust into the low pressure side, and you'll just hook your meter up and you set it at like -10. So it's got to be, the probe's got to be set up so far away from the actual shaft. Then when it starts rotating, you've got a baseline. So then you know if that shaft actually moves one way or the other, hey, you need to look at it, it's something going on. So that, one other thing I wish I had dealt with more in here was BP levels. So I know there's a trainer back here, differential pressure levels, flows, open tank, all that. First job I went to, I spent a lot of time freezing to death, like trying to make these things work after they froze up, or they had the wrong range, or they were being compensated in the DCS incorrectly. That was one thing I would really work with, because it's cheap, it's pretty reliable, and a lot of places are going to use it. Mess with that more. Temperatures and pressures are pretty much self-explanatory. I mean, you see it in here. That's all it is out in the field. Being able to use a harp good, knowing how to go through all your menus, knowing how to hook up your meters correctly, not blowing your fuses in your meters. That's a big pet peeve. If you're using test fittings and stuff, don't crank down on them. Take care of your test equipment. It's a big one, because that's pretty much your money maker right there. Other than that, like I said, we dealt with a lot of the stuff in here that I've seen in the field. Do you guys have some like guided waves?
There's one back there on the left.
Okay, so yeah, what brand?
Emerson.
Emerson, 5300 probably, 3300.
I can't remember.
But,
Yeah, they give it to me, so I didn't buy it.
Yeah, so if you get a chance to mess with that, that's a good thing to do. I might can help you out. I've got the if you've got a heart modem, I've got the Radar Master software. I know sometimes it costs money. I'll definitely hook you up. But it was good to learn, because a lot of places they're pretty robust. They do have some like caveats and stuff with them. But resources wise, if you don't know what you're doing, all you do is take that model number and type it in Google. And you find the manual, you find YouTube videos. I don't care if they make fun of you or anything. If you don't know how to mess with something, somebody's done it and recorded it on YouTube. You can find out how to mess with it. So that's the best thing. Not used to, they'd have to steal manuals and hide them. And if you didn't go with a vendor to set it up, you wasn't the guy messing with it. That guy done made himself a job, because he was the only person who knew how to mess with it. Now there's too much information out there to not know how to mess with it.
What's the best day? What's the worst day?
Best day, probably, best day I had, probably night shift when nothing goes wrong. You just sit around and catch up on paperwork or long mire or whatever you want to do. Worst day is probably like when it's negative 10 or 15 outside and you've got a transmitter froze up and they have to have it to run the plant. There's a, it comes and goes, or really hot. That sucks too. St. Croix was about 80 or 90. We were outside all day, and you had to wear fire retardant clothing, so long sleeves, blue jeans, full PPE all the time. It's definitely, you're going to be out in the elements some, but then again, you ain't going to be out in the elements sometimes too. It's very kind of up and down on your workload. If you get all your work done for that day, normally places schedule pretty lightly. Some of them got it figured out exactly how long things take, and they kind of pack it in. But most places I've been, they give you work and you can be done probably by 2 or 3. You got a couple hours to kind of relax or get paperwork done. And besides getting hot and sweaty there, you ain't lifting nothing heavy most of the time. It's pretty good screwdrivers and press wrench.
Oh, the pipe fitter for that.
Yeah, mechanics. Which everybody has their own work. Yeah, I've helped them out some, like tearing down turbines and stuff. I wouldn't want to do it every day. Putting high torques and bolts and stuff like that. I think my thing.
You only got one back, right?
Yeah. You guys don't have much more. Anybody in the electrical program? Also, it's not bad to have. A lot of places have like E&I technicians. Like I said, in St. Croix, I did motor controls and instrumentation. Somehow normally when they're commissioning, they've got the electricians do all your motor controls. But down there, they had a better contract, so we did all the interlocks and stuff. 230 volt control voltages for like 4160 motors. We didn't have to mess with any of the breakers, but motor controls is a big thing. I know you guys do it all, instrumentation, PLCs and stuff, and that helps a lot. Usually it's something in the control circuit, it ain't the motor. It's good to know.
What do you wish you would have done when you were here that you didn't do?
Done it earlier. Yeah. I mean, I like that I had electrical, but if I had started earlier, it would have been good. Yes, sir.
Did you go all the way out because it was better money, or did you just happen to take that job in Idaho or Iowa?
I mean, really, when I graduated, everybody was getting interviews and stuff. I had two offers. One was in Lusky, Maryland. You just go out on Indeed and put your resume out there and start applying for jobs. The two that I got called back from was Lusky, Maryland. It was an LNG facility that was getting built, and then the other one was the fertilizer plant that was getting built. They wanted younger guys. They had some older, already experienced techs, so they wanted some young guys to kind of bear the workload, or just people that wanted to really work. So if you're open to moving, I mean, a lot of places do relocation, in-house. Contractor, they usually do it for them. And sometimes they get guys right out of school. But it's good to kind of Google instrumentation contractors down the Gulf. It'd be better probably to get some in-house experience first, so you get a little bit of, so everything connects and you know what you're doing. You don't want to kind of go in blind. It'd be mine. But if you are open to traveling, you're already away from home because you took a job away. That's also another option to do. Contractor work.
Have you had trouble finding a job when you wanted to change?
Luckily, no. I think, and I've been pretty lucky to have long-term jobs. I've had, like, what they last a year or something, a year or more. This year, like I said, I was supposed to have 3 hitches in Israel. It looks like we're going to finish early, so I'll probably only get 2. I reached out to some of my contacts. I think I've got an outage to go to in June out in Iowa at that same plant. But yeah, don't burn your bridges when you leave. If you give 2 week notice and stuff, and be friends with everybody, it doesn't hurt. So I went back to that job twice, and a lot of places do yearly outages. So you go in, you do a good job, and get your name out there. Then hey, we want this guy back. So now you've got that month kind of took care of, or at least when you travel.
So right now you're more of a subcontractor than working for a company.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've probably worked for like 6 different companies since I graduated.
You graduated in 2016.
Yeah.
A little bit of hopping.
1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
Which I mean, they understand. I look at your resume. Some in-house places might go, you kind of bounce around a little bit. Why is that? To be honest with them, I'm not married. I don't have kids. So travel around.
Yeah.
You tell them you want to settle down, they'll be like, well, this guy's had a lot of different experience. And it'll get you kind of get over the fears of you're just going to come in and leave if you're on. But it happens.
I mean, if it gives you an opportunity to learn something or do something new.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was my big thing. Cause I kind of the St. Croix job didn't end. It was a little bit of a pay cut. Got more time home and then got to knock off like an offshore platform and overseas work. So I was like, why not?
Yeah.
I'd never done offshore yet. It's pretty cool. About the same as onshore living quarters stuff. Like I got a little bunk bed. That's your room. Yeah.
So for the guys that want to stay just right here and never leave the area, tell them why they should.
Well, so big thing is going to be if you're in-house, you're going to get training. So you're going to learn your facility. You're probably going to get a lot more in-depth training, or they're going to spend more money on you. Contractors, they don't really do that. Benefits, like I'm 1099, no insurance, no 401k. All that kind of took care of it. Some of the places I worked, they don't have really good insurance. They don't have good 401k. If you go in-house, they're going to match. Insurance is probably going to be better. You're going to get vacation time. When I'm off, I'm just off. I'm going to kind of save up. Like being home, I got to come home like 6 weeks last year. So I miss that. It kind of puts a hamper on like your home life sometimes. You don't get to come all the way back.
I guess what I mean is, like if they want to stay here and work at Involvement, versus if they step out and go somewhere else, look around. What's the advantage to doing it?
I mean,
Because you're from Grayson County, but you didn't stay in Grayson County. You
right,
took off.
yeah.
So what's the advantage to it?
I mean, you can stay being home. I think
Yeah.
my big thing. I'm not home anymore.
Yeah.
And like I said, just long-term wise, you go somewhere, you're there for long-term. I got to hunt for a job when I need one and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased. I haven't really done the other part yet. So
Yeah.
I'm working on that, trying to get back to being a little closer to home.
But one thing you could do is, if you're banking money, then you come back home, you pay cash per hour.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's my goal eventually. So, you probably need to be, careful with your finances. You're probably going to come out making more money than you ever had before. So, buying a big truck or stuff like that. Just kind of stay humble and make sure you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Because you can save up and be in a good place in 4 or 5 years, and you're going to worry about anything.
Yeah, if you decide to take a job that's not in the area, you always come back.
Yeah.
You go to places like he's going, make that money, come back. Now you got experience, so you go start higher pay right off the bat at the company. And like I said, if you save up your money, you pay cash for a house. No house payment, it's a big deal. Big deal.
Absolutely. I'm not saying if you want to stay here, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd already been used to traveling. I traveled with electrical work, so that's kind of all I've ever known. Kind of just got better pay in traveling. I'm kind of jealous of people that do get to come home because I know a lot of these guys stayed here, like Covington and stuff, making it in the 30s probably.
35 an hour, I think what they're paying there.
Covington or down in RJR, or some guys went to Griffith and get a little farther away, but still good money. It's steady. You get vacation time, and you got to worry about it. that's another thing. You get a bad year, sometimes you're out of work for 6-7 months. I've just been lucky. There's some guys that have that issue. So
I think all that depends on you too.
yeah, if you network good and do a good job, I mean, it's definitely the more places you can get out to, you get more friends to reach out to. So, and you got to be willing to take like a 2-week job. I drove like 14 hours to stay there 2 weeks and come back. And went down there, turned around, and be like, oh, it's a month. Now you got another guy. Hey, I got this other job. Now you jump over it. So it really kind of depends.
That's totally working as a subcontractor.
Yeah, completely subcontractor. Yeah.
So really, in a way, you're in business for yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you just pack up. I know. I guess 1099 is a little different, but they used to. It was really good with tax breaks and stuff. You write off almost everything, but now it's a little less. But still, you travel, you get a trailer, you go park it somewhere, and then you're there for a couple months.
But being overseas, don't you get there's so much money you make tax free, or used to be that way?
Yeah, I want to say you stay over there.
Yeah.
I think. I was trying to figure that out because the in-house guys, they would get like a tax. So Noble is who they work for, was paying their Israeli taxes, and then which my company pays my Israeli taxes. So I think it's either you might get a government credit, you might get a credit from Israeli to Israel to the USA. Hey, this is what you pay federally. I'm not sure. I need to go talk to the CPA this year. Yeah, so I don't get.
When I was in Saudi Arabia, your first 80,000 was tax free.
Right. Yeah, I want to say it's like maybe 100,000. I'm trying to.
And maybe I've been thinking about that.
That company supposedly got a job coming up in Singapore, so I'm hoping I can go to there.
Yeah.
Try that.
See the world way, can't wait to go.
Yeah, or Alaska. Yeah, just like the other. I don't know if it's more slick.
Alaska.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any other questions for me? No question?
Thank you.
Yep.
So,